Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of the AI Best Business Show. The show where you'll best learn about business, technology, tech, startups, and entrepreneurship. Today with me, I have a guest, Joseph Dumit or Joe Dumit. Joe's the founder of FleetRunnr. We'll dig into what FleetRunnr is. Joseph, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Joe, I was doing some research looking at your LinkedIn. You have a passion for engineering, supply chain since a young age. I think going back to your LinkedIn, since forever you've been working in manufacturing, engineering. Where did that spark from? Like, where did that love to engineering spark from?
Yeah, so it sparked from my days at university when I was studying industrial engineering. So I knew I wanted to do something that has to do with engineering, but industrial was the most, I didn't know a lot about it back then, but it was the most appealing. And I'm so glad I went into it because it really opened my eyes to the worlds of logistics, supply chain, and a lot of other ways of thinking, like lean thinking and like all about quality of service and how to improve and how to manage whether it's a product or a service to manage it in the most proper way. So it really
Okay.
opened this world for me, and since then I chose supply chain and logistics to be more of the expertise that I go through. So I mainly catered my experiences outside of the university and my classes inside the university to be around that basically.
Okay. You graduated. What are the experiences you had? I know you worked at Endevco Plastic, Interbrand, Dialog, like a couple of companies you worked at. If you could tell us at each company what was the main lesson you learned, or what did you do at that company, and what did you learn out of this experience?
Yeah, sure. So straight out of the bat, myself and the co-founder Elias is we always knew that we wanted to do something for ourselves. It was like an urge since
Okay.
even pre-university days. We've always had that urge. So it started while in university, and our first experience of like managing a business was managing a fleet of electric vehicles, basically.
Okay.
And we partnered with the municipality of Jubail and Byblos district, and we were able to provide free electric shuttles that used to just transport people for free, and they were all advertisement driven. So an
Okay.
LCD screen, they were advertised. There was like brochures and stuff like that inside the vehicle as well. So that was the first experience we had with dealing with municipalities and like the governmental sector, dealing with hiring employees, their salaries, their insurance, and all of that. And in the meantime, also I was also working at my main like experience can come from Dialogue in Germany, where they're a very big producer for wafers, for telephone wafers.
Okay.
So they do chips for
Okay.
telephones, and there I was able to sit with the logistics department a lot, understand a lot of their pains. I was tasked to find softwares that can help enhance the process flow, like finding softwares for the company to match with existing freight forwarders or carriers. So this was what opened my eyes to logistics and everything. And mainly in the other experiences I've had, I was mainly on the production line. So either on the food production line of ketchup bottles, or on the production line of baby Pampers. And the whole mentality there was quality control, how to reduce the wastage, how to eliminate, make the process more flowy and optimized. So that was mainly my tasks. Until finally, after dialogue, we decided also to so the tricycles was kind of like the free shuttle service was kind of like a passion project for us. We knew that it's something very beneficial. We're using electric vehicles, giving free transportation, but we knew it wasn't like a business that
Scalable.
can sustain us. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So after that, me and Elias, we founded, and this is where the CTO joined us. We founded a company called Just in Time, so
Okay.
JIT. And JIT was the main goal. The problem we were trying to solve was on-demand deliveries inside congested urban areas. So we looked at restaurants, we looked at e-commerce store and groceries, and we saw like how inefficient the hiring of drivers are because they work for certain hours of day, and then at the other days they're just sitting there idle. And back then in Lebanon, there was other than Totters, which is more of a marketplace, there was no on-demand logistics company that can cater to these. And within like 6 months, we had more than 300 restaurants onboarded to our platform.
Wow.
Yeah, this is where we built the first version of the technology that transitioned to FleetRunnr. And this is where we learned a lot with handling thousands of orders on a daily basis. We had more than 50, 60 employees because of the drivers and the orders they were doing. So it was really, really a very, very big challenge for us, and it taught us a lot.
Okay.
But also, like, you know, like in every business, there are things that come up and they allow you to rethink what you're doing. So in a matter of 1 year, we were able to take the decision to transition into building the software solely, because we saw that restaurants and groceries were asking, like, this was what led to our like really fast growth, was the technology. It was very easy to use, very intuitive. So we decided to sell our operations as in terms of delivery operations to a company here in Lebanon, and take that money and pour it into building the new version of the technology.
Okay.
And this is how it started. So this is the experience I've had. Yeah.
It's a great experience, and I feel happy, and I get happy listening to Lebanese, specifically Lebanese entrepreneurs that go through such experiences and really have the motivation to build something throughout all what the country is passing in.
Yeah.
So thank you guys. For every entrepreneur who's listening, thank you for being motivated and hardworking. I want to
thank you.
You speak about a lot of stuff: supply chain, logistics, lean thinking. For anyone who's not familiar with these terms and listening to the podcast, can we go through and define each of these terms: supply chain, logistic, and lean thinking?
Definitely. So start with logistics. Logistics is like, I like to call it the art of moving anything from hubs to hubs. So it's movement of orders, items, people, anything, whatever the commodity or person is, from one A to another, and moving it in the best and most efficient way, the least costly way. So is the movement of so if a company has,
I think it's working now. I think you're good now. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. Sorry for that. The perks of living in Lebanon.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. So I was saying logistics is the art or the process of moving items or goods or people from sources to destinations. Supply chain is the layer of how you design these movements. So
Okay.
how many hubs should I have? How many warehouses should I have? Sorting facilities, where to place them in proximity to my demand, to my customers. So it's how to design the network, basically,
Okay.
of movement of items. And lean thinking is actually a Japanese way of thinking and in business. And it's really about working in a smart and efficient manner. So every process, no matter how big or small it is, find the most efficient procedures to work in regards to that, and having it done in the best way with the least number of resources. So
Okay.
it's as if you're changing all processes into every situation into different processes, and trying to have standardized procedures for that in the most efficient way.
So basically, we could say supply chain is the bucket they all fall in. Logistics is
yeah,
how these
yeah,
supplies move, and lean is how we make it more efficient.
yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Very well said. Yeah.
Okay. What is the current state of supply chain now? We've heard since COVID started, we hear supply
Yeah.
chain has been bad, shipping rates have increased. Uh, where are we now in terms of supply chain, and where are we going? Are we going to be better in the future? Is it going to get worse? What's happening?
Yeah. So when you say supply chain, it's a huge term
Okay.
because the supply chain is so the supply chain can happen on multiple levels. Like it can be for ocean freight, so
Okay.
containers inside sea vessels, can be for airplanes, parcels inside airplanes. It can be for trucks, it can be for vans and bicycles and even people walking. So there are multiple levels to the supply chain. The level you're talking mainly is about international shipping and what's
Right.
happening with the containers and the surge of prices and all of that. So just to make things clear, what we try to focus on at FleetRunnr is mainly land transportation.
Okay.
So we don't cover the sea or the air transportation. We're focused on domestic deliveries inside a specific country or between countries or anything like that.
Okay.
So when it comes to what we saw in the past year or two is that there was a huge constraint on that, and the vulnerabilities were evident. We were able to see where the problems are when it comes to international shipping, and we saw that the volumes increased, and we saw what happened to the ports and all of the issues that happened. Like container prices jumped like 10 times. But what we're trying to focus on is mainly this surge of land transportation. So whether
Okay.
it's trucking companies that transport from country to country, or domestic transportation through land, of course.
Has this
The
been affected too through the
Yeah,
land transportation part hasn't been affected?
definitely, it has definitely increased, and also what increased are the e-commerce deliveries as well.
Okay.
So during COVID, it accelerated in a very high way. Everybody was ordering parcels to their home because of the COVID, and that really accelerated it, especially in markets that weren't really familiar to online shopping.
Okay.
So that showed a huge increase in the past couple of years, past 2 3 years, and so yeah, so we work with a range of different businesses, each trying to solve different problems in logistics. So
Okay.
it's a very broad problem.
What,
We're just tackling.
so when you started FleetRunnr, when you were sitting with your co-founders,
Yeah,
and you're looking at the gaps in the market, what problems you saw that were
yeah.
evident that you're like, okay, we're gonna go and build FleetRunnr for these problems? Like what were the gaps, the pain points in the market that you went ahead and built FleetRunnr based on?
Yeah, exactly. So when we first started the delivery company, we were browsing for softwares in the market,
Okay.
and we weren't even thinking of building our own technology. But then we saw a gap of how the existing softwares work, especially in terms of the dispatching and on-demand routing and dispatching. So basically, the softwares either were limited in terms of the power they had for automatic dispatching and planning, or they were more catered to the last mile. So in logistics, they are mainly the first, middle, and last mile. First mile is about getting the products to one of your warehouses as a delivery company or as a logistics company. The
Okay.
middle mile would be like transferring them from one warehouse to another warehouse, and the last mile would be the end, the final stretch, which is to the customer's location. A lot of the softwares were catered to the last mile part of the business, and they lacked the automation that we needed when it comes for on-demand dispatching and on-demand delivery. So everything like QSR, quick service, restaurants, quick commerce these days, restaurants, even on-demand trucking. So these these decisions that the system should keep on gathering and keep on changing until the latest dispatch time arrives to be able to dispatch. And this is where we saw the lack, and we decided to give it a shot. That was around 3 years back when we started JIT, the delivery
Okay.
company. And since then, we just released our third version of the software, which is a big improvement to what we've been having before.
Okay. So we speak about all that now. Let's dig in more into the trenches. What is FleetRunnr?
Yeah.
To get a better idea, let's imagine this. Let's say if I go on your website, I see you have services like reports, tracking, order management, delivery management, real-time route optimization, agent app, accounting. There's a bunch going on. Let's say I'm a customer. I have a manufacturing plant, and I'm doing delivery, and I'm using FleetRunnr from A to Z. If you
Yeah.
could take me through each step of these, how can I use FleetRunnr in kind of a real life example so we understand better what is FleetRunnr?
Yeah, definitely. So to arrive to that, I'm gonna first describe like who are our ideal customers currently,
Okay.
like what types of industry, because every person in logistics, everyone has there's no like standard way of delivering items or transporting goods. It's very flexible. Each business works the way they want. So our main focus currently are courier, express, and parcel companies. So
Okay.
everything that has to do with parcels and packages, retail companies and e-commerce companies, manufacturing companies, groceries, restaurants, and any type of quick commerce as well. So these are the niche that we're focusing on. And basically, FleetRunnr helps them with the planning, the execution, the optimization and simulation of how the items should flow through their system.
Okay.
So when I say that, I mean that if I'm a courier company, FleetRunnr allows me to manage everything from my orders. So we aggregate orders from multiple channels through integrations, through merchant portals that be adding orders to your system, through Excel files with validation of addresses. So we have like algorithms that verify addresses for you so that you're not shipping anything that's wrong.
Okay.
So basically, we flag if the geocoded address is outside the region or outside the city, or so there's this layer of trust that the system adds, so it won't allow you to ship anything else. Once you aggregate these orders, you can create different service types. So let's say I deliver same day, next day, within 3 days. So you customize all your shipping methods with their thresholds, their coverage areas on the map, all of the information regarding to the service type. You can also manage your everything that has to do with your rates. So automated rates on the system and accounting. So how am I billing my customer? Is it through a distance surcharge, a weight surcharge, volume surcharge? All of that information is being added. And how am I paying my drivers as well? So how am I paying them per stop, per hour, per? So all of these information is fed to the routing engine, and then based on the flow of the order. So basically, if it's a forward logistics, reverse logistics, internal transfer, all of these, you can create multiple shipments for that order, and these shipments can happen automatically, basically. So you can create different shipments for like pickup shipments, transfer shipments, delivery shipments, return shipments, and they all happen through that automated flow of procedures. And the most important part is we help them with we help them with how to distribute their orders to their drivers and vehicles in the most optimal way for both planning scenarios and on-demand real-time scenarios. So you can use both. So this is where in the background all the work is happening. So how to distribute them based on like the capacity of the vehicle, the volume, the maximum weight, the service area of the vehicle, so which area they're covering, shift times, priorities, thresholds, and literally hundreds and hundreds of constraints. So after they set up all of that, then the system will be able to either work in autopilot mode, where the dispatching, assigning happens on the fly. Everything is always rerouted and re-optimized to keep everyone in the loop, like the customers, the carriers. And the drivers also, they operate via our mobile app as well, so they can reschedule the shipments via the app. They can scan barcodes. They can see optimized addresses and sequences. They can update these locations. They can capture all the valuable information that they need. And we also have the warehouse app, which is used by warehouse operators to perform some basic warehouse operations, like creating shipments, receiving orders at the warehouse, picking and packing, and that stuff.
Okay.
So it's really 3 modules that's working together: the portal that's used by customer service, dispatchers, accountants, managers, the mobile app for the drivers, and the warehouse app. And they all work together to based on your business needs and how you work as a business. So depending on your flows, the system will help you with automating the flows, automating how they're distributed to your drivers, keep everyone on track on what's happening with ETAs, and a lot of added stuff. And so this is the part which is execution. So the execution. There's also the planning part. So the planning part is very important, which allows businesses to plan for future run simulations, basically for future scenarios. So let's say I introduce a new service type, 15-minute deliveries, which is now popular. I want to simulate how many drivers I would need, what would be my delivery time. If I open this region, what would happen? If I have an expected increase in demand, let's say I'm an e-commerce store that sells flowers and Valentine's coming, I want to simulate how many drivers I should need. You can also use FleetRunnr to use your own fleet, to optimize your own fleet, and to aggregate different carriers. So if I work with, let's say I'm an e-commerce store, and within a certain region I deliver with my own fleet, but within a bigger region I outsource my orders. So also FleetRunnr allows you to aggregate different carriers on the system and choose automatically which ones to dispatch to which carriers based on like speed, on price, and that information. And once everything is done, very important is the reports and integration. So we've made it very easy for our customers to come up with any type of report and analytics or benefit from what we already have, but it's a very dynamic reporting module, and build custom integration workflows very easily as well. So
wow, there's a lot to cover in here. Let me just do let me just do a recap if I understood. Let's say I'm a company. I received 20 shipments. So once I receive these 20 shipments, there's a system I could aggregate them in with the addresses they're going to.
Yeah, so first layer is getting these orders. So if I'm a courier company, I might add them myself, or I might give access to a portal to the business itself to add the order. So once you aggregate the order, the first layer would be address validation. This is the first layer, of course.
Now, here's a question I have. In a country like Lebanon, where we don't have specific addresses in most places, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, so we do deal with that in multiple ways. We use the algorithms for the trust layer. So the comparisons between the region, the geocoded address, the city, and we have internal algorithms that compare what's being happening. Is the geocoded result really inside where the customer is expecting it to be or not? It flags. If not, there are hard flags and soft flags. And we also built our own like geocoding engine, where if anyone has an address and the geocoded result is proven to be accurate, we save it and then we learn from it as well. So if somebody else is putting it, then we know that they mean that. So that's what we do.
And the only reason I'm asking is we know in Lebanon, being Lebanese, if you want to call and call a restaurant for him to come and deliver something to you, you're like, oh, عالطيونة,
Yeah.
next to that shop, this floor. It's not like the US or let's say UAE or Canada where we have specific addresses, house numbers, that. So I was
Yeah.
wondering, how are you overcoming this problem in a
Yeah.
complicated area?
So the fuzzy address is transformed into something that's very accurate as latitude
Okay,
and longitude.
okay,
It's not maybe the specific point, but it's maybe the street. So the
okay,
street level. So street levels are something we have as data. The next step would be is that we send an SMS to the customer. They can see the address, they update the address, they can pin the location and change the address. And the driver, once they arrive, they refine that location. And once they refine it, we flag it as verified on the system.
okay.
And then if the same customer orders from a different place or if the same address, then we so it's a process of
No,
has to fix itself. Yeah.
okay, okay.
But we are very able. We're at stage where we're able to get very accurate results from the fuzzy addresses
Okay,
from just text that's
okay,
written. So,
okay. We got okay. So I'm as a customer, I put my addresses in. They
yeah,
got verified. I want to ship them. Now over here, you have drivers. You're optimizing my routes for each truck,
yeah,
uh, doing all that. It gets shipped. The driver comes in, scans a barcode. He picked up the item. Once he
yeah,
delivers it, he scans another barcode or like puts in delivered. So you're doing a whole thing, but just on the software side. You're not dealing with
yeah.
uh, the physical part of the business.
No, no.
Okay. Uh, Here's a question I have. There's a couple of logistic softwares companies in the
Yeah,
region. Why should I choose FleetRunnr and not another logistic company?
yeah. So every software is there are softwares that are better for different use cases. So like I
Okay.
mentioned, like supply chain is something very broad, and if you're, let's say, a trucking company, you might be more inclined to a TMS that has more fleet management features, like inspections and maintenance on the vehicles and stuff like that. Our main focus is automation.
Okay.
Automation when it comes to dispatching, routing, planning, and the flexibility of having customized workflows. So different workflows, whether the order should pass through a warehouse, go to a different warehouse, then to the customer, then maybe a return. So these workflows are really customizable. And we
Okay.
build the system in a way that it's very easy to use. So we position ourselves in terms of ease of use and pricing compared to our competitors,
Okay.
and the extensive list of features that we have, and that it's specifically our engine is not only built for planning scenarios, but we're very like our strong point is on demand deliveries. So
Okay.
whether it's a cloud kitchen, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's an on-demand delivery company, our engine is built for that, while other competitors are not. So if, for example, like a very example, if you're doing an autopilot simulation, most of our competitors, if you're planning some orders, if you want to like plan them and dispatch them in autopilot mode, if the engine doesn't see that there's an available driver to give them the order, then they will just mark them as unplanned
Okay.
or unassigned.
Yeah.
And that's because mainly they're using the system to find which is the best available driver.
Okay.
Might be the closest driver or the best driver. In route optimization and what we're doing, there's never something called unplanned. So the system always, if you want, the fleet is transformed into like data miners. So
Okay.
every position they do, every action they do on the mobile phone, every idle moment, every like their speed, their everything is logged, and everything is always changing. So there's never something that's going to be unplanned. Whenever you have new information that's being added, so let's say I have 100 orders and 5 drivers, maybe just the first 5 orders will be dispatched to the driver. The others will keep on re-optimizing in the background because I have new information being added,
Okay.
and this always influences better results. So if you're operating an on-demand company, You can't just say, okay, now I'm looking at the data. Now I have this driver in this order. He is the best to take it right now. But in 5 minutes, when another 500 orders come in or 1,000 orders, the whole plan changed. So you have to keep on re-optimizing and re-optimizing until the earliest dispatch time. So
what you're doing is already complicated. You're optimizing a
yeah.
lot within customers. Now, how many customers you're dealing with? Would you be able to tell me that?
Yeah.
Like,
Currently, we have around 30 businesses that we
okay.
work with. Yeah.
My question is, are you customizing your platform to each of these 30 customers, or is it one platform that they all use in the same way?
Yeah, no, it's one platform, but
Okay.
they use it in different ways.
Okay. But
So depend.
and so really my question is like, are you customizing your software depending on the customer, or is it no, like the software is already there, you use it however you want?
Yeah, so the software is already there, and you choose what to use. So
Okay.
it's really we have like different customers using it for different reasons altogether. Some, but the main functionality is there. We're a SaaS, and you choose what you want to choose from the
Okay.
software and how to operate on it.
So here's a question. What's preventing you from scaling? Because at this point you have the software. All you
Yeah,
need is find a customer, onboard them, and move on. Find a customer, onboard them, and move on. And you could,
yeah,
and if I'm not wrong, you could now go to any country you want because the software is already built. All you need is
yeah,
onboarding the customer.
yeah, exactly. So now we're at this stage. A week ago we weren't at that stage.
Okay.
So we're actually now. So the first version was done while we were at JIT, and then we
Okay.
came up with the second version. And this second version allowed us to grow to 30 clients,
Okay.
30 businesses, thousands of merchants using the system. So from these businesses, we were able to learn a lot, and we just released our new version right now, which we believe
Okay.
is a product market fit. And
Okay.
since we've released it, now we've had a lot of very interesting names in our pipeline that we're closing deals with right now.
Okay.
They're mainly enterprise clients all around the world: Canada, Kuwait, Dubai, US. So we haven't been really pushing on sales until we have the product that we want.
Okay.
And in the past year, this is what we were doing. We rewrote everything, and we understood the requirements from our existing customers. And now we started marketing. We just like a couple of weeks back, we started marketing. We did a whole rebranding to the software. We did a soft launch as well, and we just launched with our new software right now, and the feedback has been good, very good actually. So I believe this is the year where we start to see some scale in the system.
Okay. Um, if we speak about bottlenecks inside logistics, what are bottlenecks or problems you have as a company?
Yeah, so the bottlenecks we have as a company, we're a small team, by the way. We're around 8 people,
Okay.
so mainly devs. I have a very limited knowledge when it comes to coding, but I do understand a bit of coding, but I'm not a coder. So it's just myself and Elias as partners who are not developers.
Orders.
All
Okay.
the other teams are between mobile developers, front end, back end developers. So our biggest concern now is our biggest bottleneck in the company is how to manage what to do at what time. So is it now time to go all in on marketing, or is it right now a good time to go to look into the code and how can we refactor it, how can we optimize it, enhance it? Should we be doing them in parallel? How to invest our money? We're a bootstrapped company, so and this is go back to all the lean way that from the beginning we wanted to bootstrap ourselves, even if we have a very limited budget. We don't want to focus on growth. We want to focus on profitability. That's
Okay.
our goal since day one. So we've been bootstrapped. So every dollar that comes in, we have to really think about it 10 times on where it should go. It should go to the technical team, marketing, operations, accounting, all of that stuff. So that's been our biggest bottleneck, is managing the cash and where to put it at the right time. Because
Okay.
what happened to us like a while back, in development, timelines are something non-existent. So
Yes,
it's really hard to get an actual timeline from
a developer.
yeah, like the back-end team, for example, or the front-end team. There's always delays, and even if you factor in delays, you don't know what's going to happen. It's a very like iterative process. So we invested a bit too soon our money into the marketing and
Okay.
into like softwares for marketing, and we lost a lot of money in that because the system wasn't stable yet or where we wanted it to be yet. So this is like one of the examples of what happens to us.
Yeah, and I think that's a valid point. And from my own opinion, if you don't mind me sharing, I think you should do both at the same time in parallel.
Yeah.
And maybe have someone who's just responsible for getting the customer. And when you get the customer on board, them, you start figuring out what are the problems I need to change in my code or in my software, and do that at the same time. And this way you keep on getting customer feedback and changing your code. So
That's
might be an
exactly what
option.
we're doing, but
Yeah.
it's a very thin line between the balance.
Yes.
At some point, you have to say that the system is good enough to release
Okay.
and gather the feedback from the customers. And that's what we've been doing for the past month. We released the version, we went live with our new version, and we've just been gathering feedback and also gathering and also contacting new people, a lot of enterprise clients that we've been also targeting at the same time. So it's a really that balance. But yeah, you're 100% right.
You
You have
speak
to do
about
both.
you speak about cash flow. When I went on your
Yeah.
website, this is something I found a little bit confusing, which is your pricing model. Could you explain your pricing model for me, please?
Yeah, exactly. So our pricing model, first of all, we try to make it clear in terms that all features are included in all plans.
Okay.
We wanted whether you're a small business or a big business to benefit from the features we have.
Okay.
Because what we have now, we believe, is the basic, and we will be adding along the way. We have a long roadmap, and we'll be adding a lot of cool stuff. But what we have now, we believe to be basic. It's basically the plans are distributed based on the number of orders you do a month. So
Okay.
whether you're an e-commerce store, a grocery, a courier company, a distribution company, water distribution, we bill you based on the number of orders you're doing.
Okay.
So
Why
we
why
offer,
why did you choose the 150 to be up to 150 to be free for your customers?
yeah, because 150 doesn't really consume a lot of resources to us,
Okay.
and we wanted them to grow with us. So if it's a company that's doing 150, we believe that it will grow. And if it grows, then it will transition to a paying customer. It's just an easy gate, an
Okay.
easy way in. We wanted people to use the system even if they're free, gather the feedback from them. So we've been doing that we've been working full time on FleetRunnr for like 2 years now, 2 years and a half. And you know that's a very early time for this a product to be where you want it to be in terms of
Right.
maturity and
Okay.
everything. But yeah, so the more feedback we're gathering, and mainly most of our clients, we've been getting them through word of mouth.
Okay.
Before we just started marketing, now it's word of mouth. So if one person is happy, he's going to tell his friend, and his friend is going to tell his friend, and that's what ignites that.
Um, in the next 10 years, where do you see what's the vision of FleetRunnr, and where do you see the supply chain industry in general?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. As an exercise, we always like to, in the office, think about what's going to happen in 5, 10 years and try to cater to that. So we definitely see the world moving into a hybrid fleets. We like to call them that, which is humans, drones, robots doing deliveries all together. We really want to focus on what we're doing strongly, which is land transportation, even though we can have like all the data of the ocean and the sea.
Right.
But the operations that we want to optimize for are mainly the land distribution.
Okay.
We see ourselves doing that, but mainly integrating drone management and robots into the dispatching process.
Okay.
Because we really believe it's going to be a mix of humans, drones, and machines working together to deliver you this product. And a parcel might pass from a drone to a robot, then to a human, and you should be able to manage all of these operations on a single platform. Basically, that's where we see the world is heading, unfortunately. But
No,
yeah,
I think, and I think we are going towards that use of more robots.
yeah,
The robot isn't necessarily going to take the human's job. Humans
yeah,
would still have a job, but it'll be something different. But we're going to
exactly.
have
Yeah,
more robot, more automation, uh, more technology involved in every system.
maybe
You're
more
living.
time
Mhm.
to just
Yeah.
relax.
Yes, exactly. I mean, we could see that through after COVID. It was a break point where a lot of people started having careers on TikTok, on Instagram, being an
Yeah,
influencer. Some of them are making money and they're happy living that life.
yeah,
They don't want to go back to work and work the regular 9 to 5 job as a receptionist. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as we're advancing technology and have people that help us advance technology.
yeah,
You're an entrepreneur that lives in Lebanon. We know what
yeah.
Lebanon has passed through. We know the environment, their hardships. As an entrepreneur living in such difficult environment, how are you dealing with building a startup?
Yeah, so well, honestly, with everything, there are advantages and disadvantages. I think in this case, I don't know like how to outweigh which one is more than the other, but the disadvantages that we face on a daily basis are some things that I believe a startup should not even worry about.
Yeah.
Like seriously, like having electricity or having internet at the office. The past month, we've been just searching for Starlink if they're activated in Lebanon because there was no internet, you know. So a lot of problems that somebody shouldn't even focus on. You have a million other things as a startup.
Yes.
You're positioned to fail as a
Right.
startup at
Exactly.
the beginning. So you have to beat all these odds and the odds of uh, living in a country
Exactly.
where the basic needs are not there. On the other hand, you have the advantage of finding talent that are relatively priced to the situation that you're living in,
Okay.
especially if you're selling outside of Lebanon. So, as a bootstrapped company, finding developers and the team that's uh, well, definitely they're all being paid not in the local currency
Say
in
in dollars.
US dollars,
Yeah.
of course, but still they're cheaper than if you're hiring somebody
Right.
in the US or
Right.
Europe. So that plays to your advantage as well and helps you at the beginning stages with the hope of growing the company and having everyone in the company live a very comfortable life. So that's the goal.
My last question is an exercise. Let's say you weren't running FleetRunnr.
Yeah.
Uh, what would you be building?
If I wasn't building FleetRunnr,
Yes.
oh, yeah, definitely something with hashgraph technology. So I
Can
don't
you
know if
explain
you're
what's
aware
that?
of.
No.
Uh, yeah, it's like blockchain, but it's hashgraph, and I've been a
Okay.
huge geek about it since day one. It's a protocol for distributed ledger technology. So
Okay.
it's the same concept of Bitcoin, but the way it's built is insane speed, insane security, and insane everything in between. And it's an open source algorithm. And I've always been interested in the space, and I believe it is gonna be the future in terms of not currency, but in terms of underlying algorithms that help people live their day-to-day lives, whether it's through banking, through insurance, through selling your car, selling art, all of that. You need a decentralized network to keep the ledgers
Right.
right.
Okay.
And Hashgraph for me, I do a lot of research and I love
Okay.
doing research. Hashgraph for me is by far the best. So definitely something that has to do with utilizing their algorithm to provide this trust layer to anything.
Okay.
Um, and it's definitely something we intend to add also in our system, which would be able to add this layer of trust, which would allow for instant payouts to different parties in the
Okay.
logistics. It would provide an extra layer maybe also for CO2 taxing and
Okay.
all of that stuff. So if you have this trust layer, it
Okay.
helps a lot. And I believe we haven't scratched the surface on what we can do with these algorithms.
A follow-up question. In Lebanon, we have a lot of problems in terms of logistics and supply chain. Other
Yeah.
than FleetRunnr, what's another problem you see that's out there in Lebanon specifically? Like, okay, another entrepreneur could go and build a solution.
For Lebanon.
Yes.
Interesting question.
You know how we spoke about what you did at the beginning with the buses that have
Yeah.
LCD? Let's think in that terms. As Lebanon as a whole, we have many problems in terms of transportation, logistics. What's something we could solve for Lebanon? And then we could tell entrepreneur, go build this, and let's help the government, let's help the people.
In terms of transportation?
Or anything that comes to
Or,
your mind, supply chain, transportation.
it's an interesting question. The first thing that pops to my head would be an on-demand shared bus platform that people can use to commute to their work, because the existing infrastructure is really bad. The fuel prices are really high, and the more we can club people together and provide them with a good solution in terms of commuting to work, and maybe also, unfortunately not, but like commuting to different countries around us as well.
Right.
So like in Europe, I'm really a big fan of like the cheap busing companies that take you from country to country. And I think this is something really lacking in our community and in our countries. So, yeah.
Joe, first of all, before I end this episode, I want to really say, listening to you, how technical you are, how aware of the problems you are facing, you know what you're building. At the end, you spoke about CO2 credits. I mean, who in the region up until now thinks about CO2 credit? It's more like we're hearing about it here in the US in the past 3-4 years, but I don't think a lot of people in the region are thinking in terms of CO2 credits, taxation. What you're building and the knowledge you have, you're aware of the industry is really great, and that makes me happy to hear a Lebanese entrepreneur that's thinking that way. So thank you for being on the pod. Thank you for sharing all this information with us. Any last plugins you want to do? Where should people follow what FleetRunnr is doing? Are you hiring? What positions? Where should people apply? And feel free to do any plugins you want.
Awesome. First thing, I want to thank you. Honestly, very nice meeting you, and I'm sure you're doing a lot to help the community here. And good luck on everything you'll be doing. In terms of FleetRunnr, I just wanted to thank my first thank would go out to the team. We've been, in the past year and a half, we've been on a constant sprint. I know most of the team is burnt out, but we're seeing some good stuff that's coming from it, some really good stuff. And thank also our advisors and partners that helped us as well, and they put their trust in us as well. So, and we're always hiring. We're always hiring. We have a careers page on our website, and we're hiring mainly developers to help, as well as account managers and other positions. And I just hope that Lebanon can one day really be known for not just exporting people, but exporting software as well, because we really have an amazing set of people and skills that we have. And I really believe we can, this should be something targeted more in the country and can really help the country. So,
and I want to point something. I want to point something out for anyone who's listening. Anghami, one of the maybe 10 startups in the MENA region that went on the exchange, started in Lebanon. Lebanon has, before this startup world, Lebanon has been one of the leading countries in terms of startups, VCs, and entrepreneurs. That thing died down for a while, and now we're back to hearing about startup in the region. But Lebanon was a leading country, and we have huge talents. I've dealt with huge talents in the entrepreneurship space, developers. There are great talent that we could use. So let's keep on building. Let's not give up. We have a lot to do. Thank you again for being here, Joe.
Thank you. Appreciate it.